If you don't set your calorie and macro goal correctly, fat loss is going to feel a lot harder than it needs to. Most people just simply slash their calories when they're trying to get in better shape, but don't feel very good after a few weeks because they don't have a specific calorie goal based on their needs, and they definitely don't prioritize the foods they're eating and improve the overall macronutrient of their diet. So by the end of this video, you're going to have a step-by-step guide on how to work out your specific calorie intake, and then also how to distribute your calories over your protein, carbs, and fat so you feel better and you can remain consistent for longer and get better results. Now, we're going to cover a lot inside this video. I'm going to lay it all out for you, so definitely grab a pen and paper and take notes on everything I'm saying. Now, if you're new here, my name is Jacob. I've been a coach now for over 10 years. I've worked with over 1,000 clients, helping them get in the best shape of their life. And everything I cover on this channel is really exactly what I go through with my clients to help them get results, and also things that I've been practicing myself for over 10 years as well. So we're going to go through this list in the most important thing first, down to the least important. Now, if you're looking at losing body fat, the first thing we need to work out is your overall calorie intake. This is predominantly determined based on how much you weigh. For guys, it's slightly higher than women per every pound of body weight, and you're going to want to start at somewhere between 10 and 12 calories per every pound that you weigh. For women, anywhere between 9 to 11 calories would also be a good starting point. So an example here, if you're a 180-pound guy, if we times 180 by 11, that's going to give us 2,000 calories a day. Now, this is just the starting point. You need to go away and test it and see how you feel. And there are a few factors that we also need to consider when working out your calorie intake, like how active you are. Now, for most people, this will be absolutely fine. But of course, if you're extremely inactive or extremely active, but go away and work this out, stick to it for the first 7 to 14 days, see how you feel and see how your weight and body start to respond, and then you can slightly adjust accordingly. Now, the next most important thing is your protein intake, and we're going to work this out first. Having anywhere between 0.7 and 1 gram of protein per every pound you weigh should be your goal. So using the 180-pound example once again, and this doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, it remains exactly the same. If you're 180 pounds right now and we times this by 1, that's obviously 180 grams of protein a day. Now, once you work out your protein intake, and if you realize that you're quite far off of your required amount, just work on slowly bringing it up closer towards this amount and at least try and get in the minimum requirements. The minimum requirement would be 0.7 grams per every pound that you weigh. So going back to the 180-pound example once again, if I do 0.7 times 180, this is around 126 grams. So if I could have anywhere between 126 grams to 180 grams of protein a day, this would be in a good range. Now, once we've worked the protein out, we also then want to understand how many calories are actually being designated to protein alone. So let's say I'm having 180 grams of protein a day. Now, inside of the protein, per every gram that I have, there are 4 calories. Meaning that if I have 180 grams of protein, I'll times this by 4. That's 720 calories of my diet has now been pushed aside just for protein. Now, next up, once we've worked out the calories and the protein, the next most important thing is your fat intake. This is important for hormone regulation and satiety. And having anywhere between 0.25 to 0.35 grams of fat per every pound that you weigh should be the goal. Meaning that if we go back to this 180-pound example, if I times 180 pounds by 0.25, it's going to be around 45 grams. And if I times it by 0.35, it's going to be around 63. So let's just say we go somewhere in the middle and have 50 grams of fat a day. The final thing we then need to do once again is work out how many calories are then being set aside just for fat alone. Now, inside of every gram of fat you eat, there are going to be 9 calories. So just over double the amount of calories that there are in protein. So if I go 9 times 50 grams, that's going to give me 450 calories that have now been set aside for fat. Okay, so hopefully you're sticking with me so far. From the top, we've worked out calorie intake. For guys, anywhere between 10 to 12 calories per every pound that you weigh is a good starting point. And for ladies, anywhere between 9 to 11 calories per pound of body weight is a good starting point. From there, we've worked out your protein. This doesn't matter whether you're male or female, the requirements remain the same. And we want to have anywhere between 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per every pound that you weigh. Next up then, we've worked out your fat intake. Same again, this doesn't matter whether you're male or female, it remains the same. And we want to have anywhere between 0.25 to 0.35 grams of fat per every pound that you weigh. We've worked out all of that, and we then also worked out how many calories in protein per gram, which is 4. And if we went off of our 180 gram example, 180 grams of protein times 4 is 720 calories. Finally, moving into fat, there are 9 calories per every gram, meaning that if we have 50 grams of fat, 9 times 50 is 450 calories. So far, that brings us to a total of 1,170 calories that have been consumed through protein and fat alone. Now, of course, we have a 2,000 calorie diet here, the example that I used at the start, meaning that there is still 830 calories left that need to be distributed. And the final thing that we now need to work out is your carbohydrate intake, which means that your carbohydrates would just be divided by the total amount of calories that are remaining. And no different to protein, there are 4 calories per every gram of carbohydrates. So if we get the total amount of calories that are left, in this instance, there are 830, and we divide that by 4, that gives us 207.5. So to keep it simple and round it up, there'll be 208 grams of carbohydrates that will be set aside for the remainder of your diet. So if you're a 180-pound guy, having 2,000 calories to begin with, having 180 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, and around about 207 to 210 grams of carbohydrates would be a great diet initially to trial and test and see how you feel and how your body responds. Now, some of the biggest mistakes I see is firstly, people are just too aggressive initially with the diet, so their macros are skewed. They can't physically get the right macros in if the calories are too low. They're trying to change things every 3 days and just not patient enough. To begin with, you might feel a little bit hungrier than normal, but your appetite will start to adjust if you've got the right macros in place. Or you may not see any results the first few days, but if you stay consistent for another week, you may notice things that start to change. And the last thing is people are constantly trying to chase perfect macros. What I've laid out here is just rough guidelines and a rough roadmap. It does not need to be specific. As you can see, I give you rough ranges when it comes to protein intake, comes to fat intake, and also whatever's left will go into carbohydrates. The reality is these are rough guidelines, and you just need to test it, trial it, and then start to work closer towards these guidelines, because as a whole, you will feel better if you're more in range. Now, in terms of hitting these macros, there's plenty of ways in which you can do it. I'm going to give you 2 examples right here, right now. This is Lewis. He had a calorie and a macro target. I gave him some rough ideas with food. Otherwise, he wanted to go away and make his own food choices and have more autonomy. And I just simply told him to track the calories inside of an app. And I gave him feedback in terms of what he was putting in the app and helped him adjust the macros accordingly. On the flip side, James, he didn't want to think at all about what to eat. So I gave him a designated meal swaps planner. It wasn't a simple planner where it only has a couple options in, but it had multiple options in that he could rotate and pull one thing out and pull another thing in. This wasn't as accurate with macros just because the nature of the plan and the way it worked, but it got him closer and within range without even necessarily needing to think about it. Both different strategies, but really achieved a similar outcome, and they both managed to remain consistent and feel good and get stronger and improve their overall performance while doing so. Remember, being perfect with all of this is not a thing, and being consistent is always going to win. So firstly, if you found this video helpful, like and subscribe to the channel. I put out videos like this every week to help you with your health and fitness goals without having to overcomplicate things. And finally, if you're serious about getting in shape and you want me to do the thinking for you and break all this down and put a plan in place with your training and nutrition and hold you accountable to achieve some of the results that you can see on screen right now, then simply click on the link just below this video, fill out a few quick questions about your goals, and I'll be in touch. I'll see you in the next video.